If you love a little cake with your icing, then you will love this small Texas chocolate sheet cake. Okay, I'm ready to make a Texas sheet cake. Now most Texas sheet cakes are made on a big pan like this, which is called a half of a sheet pan, which is good if you're going to feed a crowd. But it's just me and my husband, and this is all we need. And this is actually called a quarter sheet pan. And but we'll just call it half of a sheet cake. Okay, this recipe is a little bit different in that the batter is part of it is cooked. Now I've got 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, and I'm melting some butter with it and just kind of melting these together. Then when the butter is all melted, I'm going to add a half a cup of water. Now I want to bring this to a full boil, and in the meantime, while it's doing that, I'm going to whisk together my dry ingredients. I have a cup of sugar, a cup of flour with salt and baking soda in it. Just kind of whisk these together. And then I've got an egg and some sour cream and some vanilla flavor. Just going to mix these up and put that in there. Go ahead and get a beater and beat these together. This has come to a boil. And I'm going to slowly beat this into my flour mixture. Good and strong, you could use a whisk and whisk all this, but I'm 72, so I need all the help I can get. Get my spatula and make sure I've gotten everything off the bottom, because you know how it always loses some down there on the bottom. Make sure it's all in there. Of course, I got my quarter sheet pan. Now you can grease it, butter it, but I like to just use the spray stuff. And we're just going to pour it in here, and you'll notice how thin it is. This is pretty much self-leveling if you had a level table. I'm just going to kind of shake it and make sure it's all there in the corners. And I'm going to put this in a 350 degree preheated oven and cook this for about, I'm going to check it out about 15 minutes and see if it's done. Okay, now while my cake is baking, I'm getting started on the icing. Now I'm melting 5 tablespoons of butter. And to this I'm adding 2 tablespoons of cocoa. And I'm going to mix these together, you know, just like I did before. Now you could add the whole thing together, but I always have trouble with the cocoa powder, you know, making those little powdery things that won't mix in. So I like to mix the cocoa with the melted butter first, and then add my milk. Now I'm going to bring this to a boil and then just set it aside. Okay, it's been 15 minutes. I took my cake out of the oven. I checked it. Make sure my knife came out clean. And now I'm ready to frost it. This is one of these cakes that is served in the pan. You don't cool it off before you ice it. Now I'm going to take my pan up that I had melted the butter and cocoa and the milk in. Just going to warm it up just a tad bit more. Add my vanilla flavoring. That's about half a teaspoon. And now I'm ready to add my powdered sugar. Now, this is one of those coated pans, so I really couldn't use my mixer. So I'm going to use one of these coated wire whisk. So I just need to put a little bit in at a time. Okay, I've got my icing on here. And of course, if you want this to be a Texas sheet cake, you need some chopped nuts. And you really need chopped pecans, but I just happen to have walnuts, so that is what I'm going to use. So I'm just going to top this with these walnut chopped nuts. You can use whatever nut you want. And then we'll have to come back and let this cool off before we can cut it and see how yummy it is. Okay, Texas sheet cake. Now let's see how yummy this is. You and your family and friends are just going to love this. It's so yummy. It's easy to make. You serve it right out of the pan. Don't have to mess with cake layers. And it tastes great. And if you'd like a little more cake, don't miss my next video making a 1-layer chocolate cake made with self-rising flour and a real fudge icing.